Hello everyone and welcome to a Project Cars 2 video. Believe it or not, we've not seen Project Cars 2 on here for quite a while. In fact, the last video was the Renault eSports semi-final where I did the session, and this is the final. And as you see there, I ran very wide at that first corner. That's going to be significant later on, so do keep that in mind. Even so, I didn't get a slowdown, so I keep pushing on all the same. Interestingly, I didn't actually know this was going to be the circuit I was racing on. It just said Oulton Park, so I practiced the full circuit, not the island. So throughout this session, I've been trying to get my braking point for here, and obviously then the chicane also changes up here because you're not approaching it with as much speed as you would do coming out of doing the full circuit. So I've been practicing that all the same, and obviously this is my fastest qualifying lap, so we'll see where we come. As you can see, we're chucking it in here. We're in the Megane touring car. Interesting car, front wheel drive, just absolutely plough through it as best as you can really. I believe Fraser had practiced both layouts. Other people had only practiced the full circuit. As I say, if you don't see a specific layout, you just practice the whole thing. Like one of the other circuits on one of the other platforms was Nürburgring GP. They specifically said GP. I'd actually emailed them and asked them for the layout, but they never emailed me back and said it. So I was a bit frustrated by that when I joined the lobby and saw it was Ireland. I was like, oh, kidding me. But I do like Oulton Park. So I've been pushing. Now you can see I'm 3 attempts up on my fastest lap, and I get first place. Now, do I keep first place is the question, because obviously that's very interesting. Again, look how wide I go here. No slowdown. So very interesting that I don't get a slowdown there. Even so, I keep pole. Just, of course, but you can see there the significant difference between Sector 1, Sector 2 and Sector 3. Yeah, I'm not sure what that would be, but even so, I'd also prepared for a pit strategy, because when you do the full circuit, you need to pit for the race length that they had selected. However, on Ireland, you didn't apparently, but I did not know this at this point, so I'll explain as I go what's going to happen. As you see, we get ready for the start, and here we go, we kick off the race. So I get a good start there. You can see Fraser in second place, so I'm very happy at this point. I've got the first position as I come around this first corner. Just clip the apex perfectly there. Run a little bit wide. I get worried about slowdown. I don't get a slowdown. I'm happy now at this point. I think, yes, I've done it. I've got first place. I can keep first place at Oulton Park. It's a very difficult track to overtake at anyway. I can push on, try and build this gap up as much as possible, get out of this slipstream window, which I already have done. I increased my brake balance a little bit, so that's putting that less braking at the front, more towards the rear, because it's a front wheel drive car. Try and get a bit of rotation in the car as we push out of that corner there and head towards the chicane. As you can see, we've built up that gap very quickly. I think Fraser actually had a penalty. You see Borneo in third place. We haven't seen Borneo's name in a heck of a long time. He's got a +1 second penalty. The one thing with slowdowns and penalties in Project Cars 2, you have no idea whether you need to take it or not. So sometimes the slowdown will disappear. Sometimes the slowdown won't disappear and it'll be like a 30-second penalty. Sometimes you can slow down, but you know no idea how long you've got to slow down for. So is it worth slowing down, or do you get a 1 second penalty? It's very confusing. It'd be very nice in this game if they at least told you how much you need to slow down for how long, etc. Because obviously it's working somewhere, because it's going to have to calculate it. So there'll be a countdown somewhere of how much you need to take back before you can accelerate again. Even so, we continue racing, so we're not worrying at this point. We're 1.5 seconds ahead of Fraser, 3 seconds ahead of the rest of the field, so we're all happy here. Coming into this first corner, not too bad. We take it nice and easy. Obviously just run slightly wide there, no big worries. However, we get that. We hardly ran wide and we get a slowdown penalty. Absolutely ridiculous. You see how wide we ran on the others and didn't get a thing thrown at us. So I pull over and try and take it, because again I have no idea how much this is costing me. You can see Fraser coming up. Look at this, I've been waiting ages. Suddenly it goes. I don't then challenge Fraser. Fraser just runs a little bit deep there, comes back. So at this point I'm thinking, okay, I need to save some fuel now anyway, because if it's like the full circuit, which I've practiced, I'm going to have to save a little bit of fuel. So I'll stay with Fraser. If I can stay with Fraser, I don't know if he's pushing to try and do the pit stop. I was thinking of a non-stop strategy here. I'd set up my pit strategy just in case I had to pit anyway, because if I have to push and stay with somebody, I'll push. But I'm short shifting mostly here. I'm just trying to chill. You can see that I'm not fully revving the car, and that's really just to make sure I am saving fuel. You can see I was trying to do that corner in 5th gear, just dropped it back to 4th, just get a little bit more turning. I'm losing the gap to Fraser a little bit, but again I'm not too worried here. I'm thinking about pit strategies in the long game here, a bit like GT Sport essentially. Think of the long game, fuel save a little bit here and there. Don't push yourselves. So lap number 8, you can see we're 2 seconds behind Fraser. In fact, it goes up to 2.3 because I think we make a mistake somewhere. Just a little bit of a mistake there. You can see how cautious we're taking the first corner now, so you can see we're losing time there because I have no idea whether I'm going to get slowed down or not. Can't speak suddenly. So you can see this gap is building up, and it's been frustrating. I've been trying to work out whether I need to save fuel or not. Do I need to catch up or not? And at this point we're over the halfway mark, so I'm thinking, okay, I need to start pushing now. I really need to start pushing. I made a mistake at that corner there because I was doing maths on the fly. So we advanced to lap number 12 and I'd suddenly started pushing. So you can see lap 10, lap 11, I started pushing like hell suddenly to try and catch this gap up. You can see it's dropped down to 1.3, it went down to 1.1 there. I am really pushing like an absolute madman at this point because I'm like, crap, I've got 3 laps now left at this point to really catch Fraser. I am pushing to the limit. And obviously, if you start catching somebody relatively quickly, you're hoping that you can put them under enough pressure that they make a mistake, perhaps, so you can really close in that gap and therefore get an advantage and try and overtake them that way. As you can see, we're using all the limits of the track. No ABS, by the way, I didn't mention that. No ABS in this. We're using realistic aids, so you can see the wheels locking, which is why Fraser early on, when he overtook me on the slowdown, he locked his wheels, just ran a little bit deep. It's very difficult, and that's why you also move the brakes a little bit, because if the brakes are at 60 at the front, your brakes are going to lock up more than perhaps if they were at 50-50, etc., things like that. I know when we used to race touring cars on the PC and the ESL, the BMWs, you'd whack that down to 42 or 43 and it'd stop all locking, or otherwise you didn't do that. As you can see, the gap is it's around 1.1 at the moment. We gain more towards the middle sector where we've practiced a lot more, so we end up losing time here quite often at the hairpin because we don't actually know it. As you can see, we went in very aggressive there, just lost a little bit of time. Coming out of the corner, we're going to accelerate and start catching up to Fraser again. But this corner in particular, the chicane, this is where we'll gain a lot of time, and we'll always gain a lot of time on a lot of people. Even when I race my own team here at Oulton Park, the chicane, especially in this corner here, is where I gain loads of time on people. I love that corner, I love that section. You'll always see us gain time there. Don't gain too much this lap in particular, but even so, we're going to push on all the same. Obviously, it was down at 1.3. We put it back to 1.1 as we come through this right-hander now. Again, we nailed that well. Fraser made a slight mistake there, so he's going to compromise his exit a little bit. So you can see we start gaining again down into the 1 second margin. If we get in that 1 second window, we get slipstream. That's the way I work it on most games anyway. 1 second window, get in the slipstream, and we can start pushing along with that slipstream. And there we go. We're in that 1 second window now, so we can really start pushing. As you made a slight mistake there, so we're 1/10 down on the previous lap, I think that is. It is indeed. As we come through there, you can see I ran about the same width there, and I got to slow down. So obviously there's something in it with that particular corner. But look, it's disappeared. I didn't even have to slow down. So why did I have to slow down on one of them? Why did I not get a slow down on one of them? And like there, and why did it just disappear on that one? Well, balmy, I don't get it. You see Fraser locks up again on there, so you can see the pressure, me putting pressure on Fraser is really affecting him now. We're right behind him. We've got a lap and a half to try and overtake. Now, the winner of the overall competition, so the winner of this race goes to Silverstone for live finals. There'll be 4 drivers there for the finals, 2 from PC, 1 from Xbox, 1 from PS4. Only 1 from PC from the split, but there was 1 PC driver who had already qualified. And the winner at Silverstone qualified for Palmersport, a day at Palmersport. Obviously we did that last year. We did it twice. There's a video on the channel which will be on at the end. You'll be able to look at that. I'll also show you my lap from last year as well, which was in the wet. There is a dry one there as well, but my wet lap one was kind of better in my opinion. I was pushing the car a lot more. But even so, we've got a lap here. 1 lap to try and get the victory and try and get ourselves to Silverstone, which would be an F1 experience because it's the F1 weekend at Silverstone. It's only a qualifying day, but even so, be nice to go to an F1 event. I don't want to pay the prices of F1. They're paying for the ticket. I'll definitely go if I get that ticket. As you can see, we're pushing on. Fraser's keeping that gap of 6/10 at the moment. One problem with Project Cars is when you do get in that slipstream window, the car can have an impact with dirty air. So you do have to be careful with that. As you can see by the fuel, we're on 9.6. You can see that if it was the longer circuit, potentially we would have had to pit. And of course we did fuel save for quite a while in there as well, so that fuel would have been a little bit less. Coming out that corner, you can see we're even with our fastest laps. You can see we've been pushing like hell. Still not getting that hairpin right. Again, we've been practicing it in the qualifying, in the race. We're trying to get improved there as best as we can. come to one of my favourite sections. Look how much we gain under braking there straight away. Through there we go. You just went a little bit too wide there, so I lost a little bit on this corner. As we continue on, obviously I'm pushing to the limit here to try and get a move on the cards, even for the last corner. Get a move on the cards there. Go for a cheeky dive bomb perhaps. As we come into this right-hander, see we chuck the car right in here. Just make a little bit of a mistake there. It cost us some time as we come onto this straight. So unless Fraser makes a mistake now, I think he's got this in the bag. I've got my lights on as well. I don't know if you noticed that in TV camera. That's to try and put him off. I was doing everything to put him off here because I just thought, I've not been told about this track, so I'm going to go for it. But unfortunately for me, Fraser wins. Congratulations to Fraser. He did go to Silverstone. But it was actually Velos James who actually won at Silverstone. So he is going to do the Palmersport event. I don't know when he's doing that. Unfortunately, we don't get to do it, although I really want to go again because it's so fun. If you ever get to go to Palmersport, do it. However, what is going to come up next, and you can see there, our pace. You can see Fraser actually got the fastest lap there. Here we go. Here's some real life racing for you. I hope you enjoy this lap of in the F3000 in the wet. But I'm going to stop talking now. I'm going to let you enjoy this video, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks very much for watching.